Alright guys, I'm back with another upload. Today I'm reacting to IMR horror videos. Okay, story one. Let's see.
This took place about a year ago and I still haven't talked much about it. I won't tell my friends. Hell, even my family hasn't heard about it. I know they'll say it was because I didn't get enough sleep, that I was stressed and just seeing things. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I worked at a military hospital near the edge of a war zone during the night shift.
Okay guys, first thing I want to say is, sub to him and to me.
Most of the cases we got were from injuries like burns and shrapnel cuts and amputations.
Damn,
I got used to seeing things that would scare most people. That's how the field of medical care is. After some point, you just work like a machine to meet the needs of your responsibility. It was a quiet night until 11:50 p.m. when a new patient came into the emergency room. Someone who wasn't a soldier, no name or dog tags. Although his body was severely injured, I remembered his face the most. The left side was completely torn apart, leaving burned skin, teeth, and no eye. He looked like he had been hit by a blast. When they wheeled him in, his body was still shaking. He was crying and yelling. He was making only sounds, not words. I can't describe the pain. After stabilizing him, we sent him to room 206 for overnight observation. Due to a shortage of staff, they instructed me to remain in the room with him and ensure his safety until morning. I wasn't that tired, honestly. I'd had worse shifts. I put a chair next to the bed, checked his vital signs, and turned down the lights. His sobs were still soft and hoarse. It was like he wasn't even strong enough to scream anymore. I told him over and over,
"You're safe. You're no longer in the field. Everything will be fine."
Wow.
He didn't answer, just kept crying in a voice that slowly faded into moaning. He finally stopped sometime after 1 a.m. I thought he fell asleep and I can take a short nap. I looked at him. He was lying still with half of his face turned toward the window where the moonlight was coming in.
I'm just saying everything
his chest was going up and down.
I don't mean anything.
I closed my eyes in relief and eventually drifted off. I don't recall how long I slept, but a sudden feeling woke me up from my slumber.
Girl, you better wake your ass up.
Someone was looking right at me. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was the man sitting up on his bed and watching me. I'm not easily scared, but the way he looked at me that time sent a shiver down my spine. I saw the clock. It was 3:30 in the morning. In the moonlight, his face looked 10 times more horrible. The eye he still had was wide open. In a shaking voice, I asked,
"Did you need something?"
He looks at me.
He smiled at me, a dry, broken smile. He then took a deep breath and replied,
"He looks at me.
Oh, my pain is gone now." His voice sounded cold and raspy, but he spoke in a tone that felt like a huge weight had been taken off his shoulders. I could feel my hands getting numb hearing him speak. I tried to keep my voice steady as I stuttered.
"Okay, that's excellent.
Copyrighted.
But you should lie down.
Please, IMR, don't
I'm going to call the doctor.
And keep reacting to your
When
videos,
I got up to reach for the phone,
I'm a big
he
fan,
laughed.
Man.
It began slowly. The noise got louder, more twisted
I'm
and
gonna
raw.
put in the bio sub to IMR. I'm gonna start making reaction videos to you guys. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys. That breath ain't it.
The laugh sounded like it came from a person within a person. My heart was racing as I stumbled backward and ran out of the room. I thought the patient was going into some kind of shock. I ran down the hall and found Dr. Kareem, the on-call doctor. He came back with me. He asked me how much sleep I had and said I looked pale the whole time. When we got to the room and turned on the lights, the soldier was on the bed, flat out, not moving. His mouth and eyes were wide open. With a stethoscope on his chest, Dr. Kareem checked his vital signs and took his pulse. But then he looked at me with a strange face. "Naomi, this guy's been dead for almost 2 hours." I turned my gaze back to the patient who was lying on the bed and was taken aback by what I heard. I was feeling sick. I said in a whisper,
"But
I got inspired to do these videos by Miss Yourself."
He got up.
He reacts
He gave me a smile.
By other creators.
"Doctor, he laughed.
In my opinion, this is the best.
He said he wasn't in pain anymore. I swear to God."
Creator.
But Dr.
You
Kareem
guys
watched
sub.
me like I'm some delusional grandmother ranting utter nonsense. Naomi, you've been working too much. How about you take some time off? I'll inform the morgue to care of the body. And just like that, he walked away.
What are they
I
talking
stood
about,
there,
bruh?
looking at the dead patient in front of me for a few more minutes, then went back home without saying anything more to anyone at the hospital. All the way, I kept arguing with myself on whether it was a bad dream or grim reality. I know what I saw, though. That man returned, smiled, and said those words to me, even only for a moment.
He looks.
I was told to take
He
a week
looks
off.
shaken.
Yes, I did. After that night, though, I never went back to room 206.
Right,
not even to look
sorry
at
about
it.
that.
Afterward, I looked at the hospital records. No one was able to
Okay.
find him. No name, nothing.
Saying okay,
No one
sex
came
with
to
this
claim the
third
body.
movie, so
3 days later, they buried
Yo.
him in an unmarked grave near the
this
military
frame
base.
look familiar.
I sometimes wonder if I was the last person he saw while he was living, or the first person who saw him when he was someone else.
The breath ain't it, girly.
I don't know if
Okay,
anyone
next
out there
story.
faced something similar
Some
after
ugly
losing a loved
asshole.
one, but if you did, let me tell you, I understand your pain, and that's why I've decided to share my story at IMR Scary Tales. I'm Mira, and I live in a small town near a forest, the kind of place where smoke from the woods always fills the air, and old women still put salt lines on their windowsills to keep evil
that
spirits
salt would be
away.
good on
The
some
kind of place where
McDonald's
people
fries,
pray for the safe
girl.
return of their sons, and sometimes never stop. My husband,
My
Arav,
McDonald's
was a
fries.
soldier. Arav was a strong and kind man who would take in stray dogs and become
okay, you can
emotional
stop
during
eating that dog.
patriotic songs.
sorry.
We were married less than a year when he was deployed.
Okay, you do
I remember the last
okay.
morning I saw him. His uniform perfectly ironed,
Going out for
his
a
boots
war.
polished, and his
That
nervous
little
smile
whore.
hiding
Just
something
kidding,
he
just
didn't
kidding,
want me to
guys.
see.
Please don't
I got
report
the
this
telegram
video.
8 months
Guys are
later.
gonna make me
It
broke
came
in
at
the
dusk.
DM.
A man in uniform
But soon
stood
I'll be doing
outside
a
my
video on
cottage,
celebrating
his
not
face
getting,
unreadable.
admin.
He didn't need to say anything.
Admin.
I
If they
saw
don't
the
keep
folded
upping the
paper in
damn
his hand
price.
and immediately
But I will
crumpled
be
to the
finding
ground.
Secret Lucky
My
Block.
knees gave out before he said a word.
And soon
We
I'll be
regret
posting a
to
video.
inform you.
Because I
I
opened
didn't
up
hear the
multiple
rest.
Lucky Blocks.
My
and
mind went blank.
I got
I say
ass
I
shit.
fainted. Kavya, my
Girl,
sister,
it's
said she
okay.
found me on the floor,
Fell in love
cold
with
and barely
emo
breathing.
girl. Okay, guys,
She spent the
sorry.
rest of the night
just
putting me
that
to bed,
girl
giving
looks
me
so
warm
emo.
water by spoon and brushing my hair like I was a
I'm
kid
not allowed
again.
to make fun of these
Though
other
I was
animations,
awake,
okay?
I felt nothing.
Oh.
That numbness that wraps around your bones and makes you think it'll never go away. I felt only that. I remember hearing
guys
the
hear
clock that night. I remember going to bed without listening to my
no!
husband's voice. The house was
just
too
kidding.
quiet
Just turn
for
the light
me.
in the mood.
I finally went to sleep after midnight.
Gonna make you
At
shit
around
yourself.
2:30 a.m., I heard Arav
Hey,
calling my
Song
name.
lang một ngày nhiều lang đến mang xuống nước dầu. Okay, guys.
It was so
she's
soft
laying
and
in
gentle
bed,
that I dismissed it as the
waking up.
wind. But then again,
girl,
I heard
just go
it.
back to bed. It's nothing. Don't worry, girl.
It was
the
clearly
wind.
his.
No,
I sprang up in bed.
Lay your ass
The
down,
window
go back
next
to
to me
bed.
was open, and the wind was
Damn,
making the
who
curtains
farted?
flap. For a brief moment, it felt like a dream. I took a deep breath.
Okay, guys, that's pretty good.
Then it happened again.
Good ass chocolate right now. Like the good ones you put on strawberries. Oh, that shit must.
It was his voice echoing in the night, like he was calling me from the edge of the trees. I should have screamed. I should have shut the window and crawled back into bed. But my grief spoke louder than reason.
That girly,
If there was
girly
even a
puppy's
sliver
crying.
of a chance. I wrapped a shawl around me and stepped out into the night barefoot. The grass was
you're
cold
not
and
going to
damp.
a club.
The moon
You're
lit the
going to
path
the
between our
forest.
home and the
What are you
forest in
doing?
pale silver. Everything else was still.
Girl,
Not even the
boyfriend
insects
ain't
chirped.
dead.
My feet
Dead,
led
girl,
me
dead.
forward, pulled by that voice.
Girl, there's no hope.
It was
Okay, this is the part where she fucks up because she's a stupid ass.
always just ahead, deeper and deeper into the woods. I should
those
have known
haters on the
something was
videos
wrong
that like
when I
one
noticed the
commented on my
silence.
story.
No
That
rustling
girl starts
animals,
cussing, I say
no
whatever the
birds,
fuck I
just a
want.
stillness that felt staged. That's when I saw him.
Get out of there, girl.
A figure
That is-
standing a few
that's
meters ahead,
spirit.
just beyond a cluster of tall trees.
Girl,
He was
what are
facing
you
away,
doing?
motionless, but I recognized the shape instantly. The cut of his
This is even
uniform,
real.
the slope
Touch
of his
him.
shoulders,
Girl,
the
what
way
is
he
his
held
tag?
his
Why are
arms
you
just
walking
slightly
up with your
bent at
hand
the
out?
elbow, like a
gonna give you
Rav
no candy,
always
girl.
did when he was deep in thought. My heart
Girl,
nearly
he
stopped.
didn't give you none of that big
Otto,
cat.
where are you?
I whispered. He didn't
answer.
answer, didn't move. I stepped closer, whispering his name again, tears welling in my eyes.
Girl.
Slowly, he
stop.
turned, and I felt something in me break.
Oh no, he looks
It was
bloody.
him, and at the same time, it wasn't. Half of his face was rotten, the skin slacked like wet fabric, exposing his cheekbone. His eyes were gone,
like that?
only a pair of empty sockets glistening under the moonlight.
Close the mouth.
Yet he looked straight at me
Wait, how
with a
he
kind
turning
of
around
pain
looking
I
at her
can't
if he don't got
explain.
eyes?
He appeared to be attempting to express something, yet he
I don't
couldn't
think that makes
recall
sense.
how.
Oh, 'cause he's
His
a
mouth
spirit.
opened, twitching.
Damn,
Sound
what
came
happened to
out,
his
but
teeth?
no words,
His
just
teeth.
gurgling gasps,
That he
like
be
he was
brushing his
trying to
teeth.
breathe through whatever took his life. And then he smiled. His smile was small, crooked,
girl,
and
that looks
bone-chilling,
creepy.
causing
Girl,
every
why
hair
you
on my
smiling
body
like
to stand
that?
up.
You know what,
I
girl? You should
screamed
take
so
a nap.
loudly that my throat turned raw and everything became blurry.
girl.
The next thing I remember, it was
What
morning.
the fuck is this hoe
An
doing
old
in my lawn?
lumberjack named
Let me wake
Suresh
this
found
bitch
me
up.
near the forest's edge. I was lying beside a thorn bush,
up,
unconscious.
hoe.
The brambles
bitch.
ripped my
Touch your
nightgown,
butthole.
leaving my feet
What?
scratched and bleeding.
She woke up.
Everyone said I must have
Don't worry, girl, I'll
sleepwalked,
lick
that
your
my
feet.
mind had snapped under grief. But I
Yes,
remember
kid.
every second of what I saw.
Beat up.
My sister brought a
she
doctor.
built like a Barbie
He checked
on her
me,
tippy
said I
toes.
was physically unharmed.
Yo, what happened to her
but
ankles? They
warned
look so
Kavya
good
that I
now,
was
bruh.
in a trauma-induced
Yo, where'd
fugue
the
state.
scratches go?
He advised Kavya that I needed rest. My mind
What's up,
was
Santa
filling in
Claus?
the blanks, but here's the thing: no one told him about the voice, or the man in the
Let
trees,
me know if I should do
or the
videos
smile.
like reacting
And
other
yet,
things,
the
but instead
first
of
thing
putting
he
like their
asked
voice
was,
up on mine,
"Did you
voicing
dream
over
about your
saying funny
husband
shit.
calling to you?"
That would be pretty fucking funny.
That's when I knew something deeper was at work.
Oh,
no
sure.
one ever recovered Arav's body. The army
Wow.
said the
Why is he
explosion left
smiling,
nothing
bruh?
behind.
His ass about
But
to
something
die.
did return that night.
Smiling.
Since that night, I never went back into the forest, not even near the tree
Girl,
line.
not redoing,
But
not
every
reusing
year,
the same
on the
clips
night
again.
I got
What
the
is this?
telegram, I leave a plate of warm
Yo, is she
food on
bringing
a
me
flat
food?
stone at
I'm
the edge of
hungry.
the trees. Chapati, dal, and
Oh, she's
water,
bringing me
just like I
spirit
used to make for my
Damn.
husband when he came home.
If it's
And every year,
eating, I don't think
the
it's a
plate
spirit,
is
girl. I
empty
think
by
your
sunrise.
husband is
There are
alive
no
and
animal
well,
tracks
'cause you've been
visible,
feeding
no
him.
crumbs.
Just take
There
it
was
back
only
to
a
the
faint
hospital.
impression
Good.
of a boot print on the soil. I don't care
You better
if you
get
think
a
I'm
paycheck.
crazy.
Get a
I
paycheck.
know what I
Get a
saw.
paycheck.
I know
Get a
whose
paycheck.
voice called me, and I know
Let me know what videos
he's
I should
still
react
out
to.
there.
I gotta figure out how to turn my comments on. But comment on my
This
shorts.
took place on our
like
8th
on the
grade field
videos
trip
that,
last
like,
year.
You know?
Our school
Comment,
planned this
like,
fun and educational trip
on the
to a
videos-
military history
the
museum
videos
a
I
few
say I'm
towns
gonna give
over.
you brain rots,
The museum was
comment on
built
the-
on the
any
spot of a
short,
real
and I'll
war
see it.
battlefield from many years ago.
Except for my
I
damn
remember
cousins.
being disinterested in the whole
Damn.
thing. But my friend
They
George and I
broke.
thought we wouldn't have to go to school that day. But we had no idea it would turn out to be the scariest
Man,
thing
these
we've
some
ever
dumbass
done.
kids. I would have said.
The museum
hell
was
no.
just another boring place to walk through. There were dusty glass cases with
Yo, I would've
rusted
took a- I
rifles,
would've took one of
uniforms
those.
behind glass,
Went to the
black
spirits
and
like,
white pictures
"Whoa,
of soldiers,
whoa,
and the history teacher talking on and on. But sometime in the second hour,
wanna go to
George
stupid
and I
shit?
saw
Yeah,
something
man.
strange.
That's what
A
they
big
look like.
picture on the far wall that looked a lot more modern than the
So
others.
we lost the class.
In the text below, it said,
Oh, never
Back
mind.
Cave, site of enemy entombment. The picture showed the rough, dark mouth of a cave with a written signboard, entry not allowed. Our teacher brought it up in passing, saying that during the war,
Black
enemy
cave.
troops had hidden in that cave. It looks like troops on our side locked the door and filled it with poison gas. They all
Yo, why
choked
he
to
looks so
death.
excited, bro?
Why
You
would
better
they
do
even keep
stupid
a
shit.
cave like that
Hey,
open?
man.
Let's go see it.
Hey, man.
Dude, don't be
Hey,
dumb.
man.
It says no entry.
Now look at him.
As per the
He looks
photograph,
at me.
it seemed like the cave
Now
was
look
just
at him.
rocks and old air. But the inside was pitch black, and the scratched stone near the entry drew me in. I gave George a push.
Let's sneak off. No one will notice.
After 10 minutes, we snuck out the side door while everyone else was watching a dull program about World War I.
They're watching
The cave was behind the
documentary.
museum. It was a
Okay,
long,
they found
overgrown
the tunnel.
road. In the end, we saw it. There was a
I think
huge sign stuck on a
they
tree that
cook
said in all caps,
their onion
"Restricted
rings.
zone, entry prohibited."
Like onion rings,
A long
but
metal
not
chain
onion-
was wrapped
onion
around two
rings.
rocks in front of the cave entrance,
If you guys
as if
do
to keep
anything,
people
don't
from
go
going
in there.
inside.
Talking,
But there were no
don't.
guards or CCTV around, and the
Listen.
chain was barely blocking
Stop it.
our way. We crossed it over.
God
It should
damn
not have been that
idiots.
cold in the cave. When we walked inside, the
Okay,
air felt
walking
different,
in the tunnel,
like when
which
you
they
walk
shouldn't
into a
do this
basement
one,
after
out
a
of it.
storm. There was
You know
this
what, just shut
wet,
up.
heavy feeling around. George kept saying that we should go back, but I told him we'd take a quick look, probably 5 to 10 minutes. We turned on the flashlights on our phones and went further. The walls were damp and had moss growing on them. We saw old, broken wooden boxes, what looked like old, worn-out boots, and, I swear, real bones. We weren't sure whether the bones belonged to animals or humans. Suddenly,
Okay.
George pointed at the
So
nearest
he pointed
wall.
out some
Look,
which I
over
don't
there.
think I would want to look at.
The walls had deep scratches on them.
Fingernails.
The scratches
Ew.
resembled claw marks created in a state of
You see that
desperation and
clip where
pain.
Aiden
Some
Ross
of them even
created-
had
no,
old
Aiden
human
Ross,
nails
Aiden
stuck in the stone.
HQC, or
Right
whatever
at
his
that
name is,
moment,
Mr.
being
Beast
in that
produced it.
cave felt like a bad
Mr. Beast
idea.
got, like,
My
he looks
mind
so-
kept
yeah, I had
hinting
never heard
that
him
we
that
shouldn't
mad
be
before.
here. George and I exchanged a nervous glance, and we both turned around to leave. We
Oh,
must have taken a step or
whoa.
two when George
looks
grabbed
cool.
my
You
hand
gotta let me
tight
try
and
that.
whispered, "What was that?" I heard it too.
What the hell is that? I
A
wanna take a
sloppy,
picture of
mushy
myself.
sound of
TikTok.
chewing coming from a close distance. With shaking flashlights,
Okay,
we
now that we're
slowly
going
turned in the
into
direction of the
Scuba Dive,
noise.
look at
There was
this
a
spirit.
person squatting in the corner
he
of the
looks
cave
hot.
about 30 feet away. He had no
Eating a
shoes
brain?
and wore these torn-out military
a zombie?
trousers, revealing his bare body.
He looked like a
There were
crackhead.
bones protruding from its pale skin, which looked as though it had been melted in certain areas, like he had
Eating
walked
that
through
brain, like,
fire, which made his
"Damn,
skin
man."
melt. It had something in its mouth. It must have been a bird or a rat, but
Chompers
whatever
on
it
it,
was,
like
he
that
was
red
chewing on
stank.
it, and we could hear the blood and
swear
flesh
if
of
he
the
looks at
animal
us,
being
bruh, he better
crushed
not
by
look
his
at us.
teeth. We
Or
were
I'm gonna
still
have
in
to switch
fear.
keys then.
Slowly, the man turned towards us. There was no human quality to the creature's
Oh,
face. Both of its
Why
eyes
you
were
looking at us
hazy,
like that?
and
Like,
one of
why you
them
got your
was
mouth
nearly
wide open? Like,
gone.
mouth wide
The
open,
jaw
mouth
became
wide open.
excessively loose. He reminded
Okay.
me of the movie Resident Evil.
I look
He
terrified.
stared at us for some time,
some reason.
and gulped the lump of flesh hanging
Damn,
from
he
his mouth.
swallowed that shit
All I
up.
remember after
I
that
don't think you're
was
supposed to eat your
George
brains
screaming
that
and
fast.
running. I didn't wait either.
Okay,
I
why
just
is he
bolted
frightened
out of the
right
cave. Behind
You know what? Let's
us,
fight the
I
air.
didn't
Boom,
wait
boom,
either.
boom, boom,
I just
boom,
bolted out of the cave.
Fight
I
that
could make
bitch.
out its
Okay.
snarls and gag reflexes as it dragged its limb
Man,
across the
this
cave
so
floor,
fucking out
as
of
if it were
control.
gasping for air.
Fucking
We ran
right.
until we saw light. We sped out of
Y'all
the
let me know if I
cave,
should do a
past
video
the
while I play
chain,
GTA.
and into the sun
Okay.
without even pausing to breathe.
Like I do so.
George passed out. I gasped and fell to my knees.
Because
As soon as we got back to the
still working on
museum,
story mode on
we were
my,
soaked in sweat.
GTA.
Obviously, no one believed us. The teachers yelled at us for going
that's
there.
an
The
ugly ass
museum
teacher.
workers
Fuck you
informed
yelling
us
at
that we
us.
had frightened
Fucking
ourselves in the
old
dark,
man.
as they had cleared the cave
Fucking
many years ago. It's impossible for anyone to survive in there after the
Like,
gas
shut your
attack.
ass up.
But George and I are sure of what we saw.
You look
However,
ugly.
George and I developed
Okay,
our
we
own
take my
theory.
stupid ass
What if
to
someone
fucking
actually
sleep.
survived the
I
attack?
told him if you
Hours of
scared
struggle
him,
and searching for a
goblin,
way
the
out
zombie.
made him somewhat adaptive to the poisonous
3,
air. Maybe he didn't die
2,
from the effects, but suffered a more
1,
horrible fate.
0.
He
Falling
might
asleep.
have changed into something else,
Nah.
something that only appears to be a human. Since then, I've been afraid to stay in the dark. Even at night, when I wake up in my bed
What's
and my
there?
eyes casually travel
What
to
is
the
that?
dark corners,
Oh no, I'm
I
upside
swear
down.
I see him sitting
Ugh,
there
girl,
and
you
smiling.
looking ugly. Alright, guys, sub to him and to me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace the fuck out.